gonna catch me talking like we did last. Oh,
Yes, we did. Hey, everyone. You're live with the Overland Podcast. I'm Joey, and this is Tony.
What's up?
The Bats Off Roadie. Yeah, Tony with the Bats Off Road. Man, how's your week going?
It has been kind of a crap show.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's the universe has been awful this past week, and so we're gonna march our way through it.
Yeah, we'll just have to do what you can. Do what you can. I have
That's
had
right.
some good things happen in personal life, and work has been just one idiot after another. So, it's a lot like some of our overland events. But anyway, we won't talk about that. But I'm just here chilling. Guess what I'm drinking tonight?
You drinking coffee?
I got me some
That's the
Muddy
I'm telling you,
Mary's what
listen,
I'm drinking this week.
Coffee. So that coffee is so good. I usually drink coffee in the mornings.
Here's to you.
Yeah, I have started occasionally, not every day, but I have actually started drinking coffee in the evenings.
Well, here's I've started something new too. Since we have met our friends at Logic Overland.
Right.
So I fix me in my new Brew Trek French press.
Yeah.
I fix me a black coffee in the morning. It helps. I listen to my book or read my Bible a little bit, sit there and enjoy the quiet, watch the sun come up before the chaos starts.
Right.
And then I usually come home about 10 o'clock or so and let the dog out. And then I fix me another one and I add creamer to my second one.
What?
I know. Isn't that crazy?
You're not a cream guy.
I'm not. But you know what? It's like a dessert after the main course. And so that's pretty fun.
See?
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Love it. Absolutely love it. But that's the way I do it.
So what creamer?
My wife got me some sugar-free caramel macchiato.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love the caramel macchiato. Yeah.
Yeah, she tries something different every time, and I think I've got something with coconut or something in it at the office. But yeah, this is good stuff. I'm loving this. But I got my cup, got my coffee, I got everything going on, and we are fixing to delve off into diesel heaters because it's going.
Let's do it,
man. I'm excited. Here we go. Thank you for watching or listening to the Overland Podcast. We're excited to be here. We're coming to you live as we do each week, bringing you the latest in all things outdoors and overlanding. The live show contains listeners, so join us with your comments and questions. Here we go. No pros, just bros on this show. Now we've changed up the show a little bit. We've streamlined everything and putting everything on the Overland Podcast Facebook page and the Overland Podcast YouTube channel. So it may be a little bit hard for people to listen to us live. Amy told me the other day on Saturday when they came by, she said, I'm not getting notifications about the show anymore. I said, well, you got to go to the Overland Podcast and like that, and that way you'll get notifications about it. So anyway, it's going to be a little bit of a process here. We may not have a whole lot of live watchers this week like we did last week, but hey, that's okay. It's out there and we're putting it out there and we're sharing it, and so hopefully people will join us. If they don't, we're gonna have fun, just me and you anyways.
That's all right. It's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
Ask a question though. If y'all are on here watching, ask them questions. We're going to talk about some diesel heaters. Ask away.
Yeah. Well, we got several people watching live on Instagram. Logic Overland is actually watching live. What's up, guys? Yeah,
hey.
We don't get those comments. But let me tell you, we've already told everybody what we're drinking. This right here,
But
what I'm making right here, Muddy Mary. So
Muddy
if you
Mary.
haven't tried Muddy Mary, it is a medium roast, serious gourmet coffee. It has let's see, what does this have? Oh, mix of coconut, chocolate, and vanilla notes. That's what I'm talking
Vanilla notes.
about. Mm.
Okay. Hmm.
Have you tried you some Muddy Mary yet? Hey, you still stuck on Canyon Craig?
Oh man, I'm gonna be stuck on Canyon Craig forever. But to answer your question, I think I have tried. I think I had one of the sample packs of the Muddy Mary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I had one of those one time. So
Oh yeah. Well, uh, I have not found one of them that I don't like yet. And so if you haven't tried any of the
I
Logic Overland coffee, you need to try it because it's all good. Every bit of it.
just throw a dart
The
at all the
Campfire Kenny.
flavors because they don't matter. Yeah.
All the kids when I walk around school every morning, the kids are like, "Who is that on your cup right there?" And I said, "This is my Uncle Kenny, and he makes coffee, and you should try it. Tell your parents. It's called Logic Overland. And get you
Yeah.
some."
Tell your parents to get you some coffee and get you
Oh
all
my
jacked up
goodness.
on caffeine.
Oh well, I have been out of the ordinary, staying home a lot in the past couple weekends. It happens about this time of year. The
Hmm.
weather is a complete level of suck that
Yeah,
it's not during the rest of the year. It's almost like the middle of the opposite of July in Arkansas. It's just horrible, rain, cold, misery. You experienced it a couple weekends ago.
dude. That, but just like last week, it was 71 here on Thursday, and
Mm.
then crappy and rainy all weekend. Hey, Chris.
Chris, welcome to the show. Chris
But
Marlar
yeah, we.
Equipment. If you have some Gigantor equipment you need worked on, Chris is the man.
All the
If
big
you have
stuff.
regular equipment that needs worked on, he can probably tell you how to fix it.
Again,
So, Richard Brown,
facts.
appreciate you being on here. Thousand
Yep.
Trails and More. According to Matt's post, it's probably only going to be like a 900 Trails and More because a bunch of them got closed.
Yeah. Holy cow, that thing.
Yeah, there was
Yeah.
Matt made a post on Natural State Overland today about a lot of trails being closed in Arkansas. So, um, anyway, may want to go check that out. But
Yeah.
anyway, that's not going to stop us from going out. It may stop us from going to a few places, but it's not going to stop us from going out. But anyway, welcome to the Okie Overland Studios. For all your overland needs, please visit okie-overland.com or visit them in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They can help you out. Tate and Kyle know everything that there is to know. And if they don't know it, they'll make it up and make you believe that they know it. So
That's
check them out.
that's exactly right.
Man, we got quite a few people on Instagram. We appreciate y'all being here. Responsible stewardship. Love those people.
Yep.
They actually get out and do cleanups and and organize cleanups all around the United States, and they are real heavy into the backpacker hiking community, and would really love to get them involved in the overlanding community. Because unlike, I'll get on my soapbox here, unlike the tread lightly people, who all they do is take your money and want you to do tread lightly stuff. The responsible stewardship people actually organize cleanups and do something about it instead of letting other people do something. So I love them.
Hmm.
If you have never heard of them, look them up, give them a follow, support them. Good people, good people.
Right on.
Ah, man, appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all. Well, here we are in the middle of winter, and it's been it's been a heck of a winter so far. We've had some super cold weather. Um,
Yeah, that
down,
stretch there in January was nuts.
and I think we're going to get some more. I heard next week it's going to be maybe get some winter weather up in Northwest Arkansas.
Really?
Yes, sorry to tell you about that, buddy.
I haven't heard that,
Yeah,
bro.
you heard it here.
That gummit.
Heard it here. World premiere. World premiere weather.
World star.
I've never been to meteorology school, but I guarantee you I can get it. as close as they can. So, whatever. So anyway, we've had the cold. We've had the cold, and we've endured the cold, and we actually have some things planned. We're actually going to go out and experience the cold, get out in it, and do that. So, how do you do that? How do you stay warm? Now, years ago, I was a Mr. Buddy Heater fan. I mean, I had one of every kind. The one that sits on top of the 20-pound tank that blows real hard. I had one of those. I had the big light thing that had a top on top of it. I had a dual one. I still got the dual one. I put it in my deer stand when I'm deer hunting because I only
Yeah.
have to heat a 4x4 box. My dad has one because his feet get cold. So
I've got several.
like the buddy heater.
Yeah.
Like the buddy
I
heater.
actually still prefer to use my buddy heater, the one that sits on top of the propane tank.
Yeah,
I actually prefer to use that out in the shop.
it works
It
well,
just
and it
yeah.
puts off a lot of heat. And you don't have to have any power sources or anything like that for it. So, but
Yep.
the problem that I had, years and years ago when I was ground tenting in Colorado was that we were sleeping at 9,000 feet and the oxygen is really thin. And a lot of times it didn't want to work.
Mm-mm.
You have to vent your tent really well. We actually had to sleep with the windows open in order for it to get enough oxygen flow. And if you don't have a fan that's circulating the oxygen, it will burn up all the oxygen in a tent with the windows open. And so you have to deal with that. And a few years ago, um, busting into the overland community was the diesel heaters. Now, I found out when I did a little research for today that the diesel heaters have actually been around for about 40 years. I didn't know that. I
Okay.
had no
I
idea.
didn't know it either.
Had no idea.
40
Apparently,
years.
the Germans started it, figured it out, created it, and the Chinese have copied it. And boy, have they copied it! And I'm telling you, there's a million different ones out there now, and they've the bad thing is the quality has went down just a little bit. But the good
Yeah.
thing is that the price has come down significantly. But because if you check the prices on the German heaters and the Chinese heaters, if you buy a German built diesel heater, you're going to be paying more than $2,000.
Yeah.
And we looked earlier, and we'll talk about it. You can get a diesel heater ready to go off Amazon for almost the same price as a buddy heater, about mid $80. So it depends on what you want, and we're going to talk about it, talk about all the different kinds, and talk about the prices and the pros and the cons. Now, you and I both run diesel heaters, correct?
Mm-hmm.
You
Yes, we
have
do.
recently changed your diesel heater. You actually had a Chinese in a box
Yep.
diesel
I had a
heater,
Beaver.
and you completely changed it up at Okie Overland, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. Kyle said, "Hey man, bring that over and let's level it up."
Okay, so what they did was they took it out of the case that it came in, and they made
Mhm.
it where it would fit in a front runner box, correct? So with
Yes,
the
they
tall
did.
lid, you can stack it, and it works perfect.
Actually, and I have fine tuned that now, and I went back. I was able to eliminate the tall lid and go to the regular lid and
Wow.
get everything inside. The hose that goes up into my tent, the
Even the hose.
cord, even the hose. Yep. And I got my owner's manual so I can read any codes that pops up.
Mm-hmm.
I got a filter. I mean a
Yeah.
funnel.
Funnel.
And I got this little doohickey right here.
Yes, we will talk about that doohickey if you don't know what that is and how cool that is here in just a little bit. So I want to talk about, since we're talking about the different types of diesel heaters, I want to bring in to the stage my other screen.
Okay.
So these are the different types that you'll have. The first one is one that's like in a case. It's what do you call this? Like a Pelican style case.
Yeah.
With an external tank.
Yeah.
You've got the square ones that are pretty much just square. You got the tall ones found this one today, and I'm really impressed with this. And we're going to talk about this one here in just a little bit. It's a suitcase style that's completely square. I really like that. Um, and the way that that's made. And also, these are the new ones from H Calorie that are small, but they're made more like a. It's not a Pelican case. It's more like a what would you call that? Like a suitcase. I don't know, but
Well,
they're
I mean,
small.
it's a modified Pelican case,
Yeah, modified.
kind of.
And then you got these square ones like this, which these are probably the most popular ones out there. That's just like the ones that I had in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got the tall, skinny ones. So you have a whole lot of different types, shapes, sizes, whatever, and they pretty much all work the same way. And then you have the ones like what you have, which I don't have a picture of that fits in the front runner box. Now this is a little picture about how the diesel heater works and all the different things that go. You have where the air goes in, where the fuel goes in, the combustion air inlet, the exhaust air outlet, the control unit, blah, 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 and where the air goes out, heat exchanger, combustion chamber. So this is kind of how it's made. This is the inner workings of it. Now, the problem that I have had in the past with the ones that I've had is that the way that this is designed, the combustion air inlet and the exhaust outlet are on the bottom. And I will share with you why that is an issue if you don't have one of these. And you might want to think about that before you purchase one, because that's kind of a deal. That's kind of an ordeal.
Kind of.
There are a lot of different brands that are out there. The most popular one, probably because of Amazon, is Vevor. Vevor is probably the most popular one that people. Planar, Planar, is one. LF Bros, which we just showed one up there, and we'll show that. The H Calorie. There's a million different Chinese ones. If you just do Chinese or diesel heater on Amazon, it'll give you a million different kinds.
Yep.
And then if you are savvy enough with your hands and you can read probably the most complicated instructions ever written on the planet, you can DIY one. You can just order all the parts, put one together yourself. Good luck.
Good luck.
All of these come with like an instruction manual. It drove me insane. I just could not figure it out, what they were calling things, how you set up things. If you buy one that's already put together in its own case, it's pretty much ready to go out of the box, and you
Yep.
don't have to do nothing to it. And I promise you, it's worth every penny. Now, you and I are probably going to have a pretty good list of. I want to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of the diesel heater. I've made a pretty exhaustive list of the advantages and disadvantages from my standpoint and from actually using one. And you probably have a lot more to throw in there, but I kind of want to get into that because that's going to be the bulk of the show. And then talking about our recommendations on if you don't have one, the kind that you should purchase if you don't have one, because I promise you, it is a much better much better and safer way to heat your tent and area if you're camping in the cold. And I agree, Richard. He said YouTube is your best friend for learning about these things. There's so many YouTube videos about setups, about putting one together. If you want a DIY one, I would highly recommend YouTube because there's guys out there who know electrical stuff. They can read Chinese apparently, and they have figured out how to do these things. So they've done the work for you. YouTube is your friend on just about everything. I swear. You could rebuild a Chevrolet engine just by YouTube. I promise
I
you.
know it. Yep.
It's crazy.
Yep.
Um,
That's how I learned to replace that part on Arla's Jeep here a while back. It
well,
was
it's
leaking
also how
oil.
you learn to replace a bunch of parts on my Toyota as well, because
Well,
we've been
that's
out
true.
there,
Yeah.
tore stuff apart, and then watch YouTube on how to put it back together, and we did it.
Yep.
And
I
it's
was
one of those
able.
things where it worked, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that actually freaking worked. It's
And we
just
didn't have to spend the night
wow.
at a Holiday Inn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hey,
We
I
didn't
just
wait for it.
just when you get to it, if you want to, I did upload a picture of my my setup.
All right, I do want to talk about that. because we have talked about the types and the recommendations. So you do have a picture of yours on here, and it is at the, is it?
I did an overlay.
Okay, it's not. It's not.
Is
It's
it
not
not
working
done?
for me. It's not working. It may not be done.
Okay.
Oh, that's right. And the Overland Podcast. You can learn everything you need to hear. Thank you, Richard. Appreciate it. So here's my list of advantages. See if you agree with me, Tony, and you may have some of your own.
All right.
One of my favorite things about having a diesel heater compared to having a buddy heater, and I could go on and on about this for days. Having a climate control with a remote. Oh my gosh. It is the best. Now, I know you've had some remote issues,
Mm-hmm.
and that's going to be one of my disadvantages that I will talk about later. But having that remote, when it works, having that remote and being able to have the actual machine outside on the ground, and you sit up there and able to turn it up, turn it down, or turn it off, turn it on with just a click of a button.
Yep.
That is gold.
Yeah.
If you have at any time during your career had a buddy heater inside your rooftop tent and not got much sleep because you're afraid you're going to set the stupid thing on fire, you have such a peace about you having this thing outside on the ground, having a remote, being able to turn it up, turn it down.
That's right.
Love it.
Yeah. I mean, I've absolutely loved the remote, and the issue that I had was it. Well, I may be jumping ahead. I don't know if you is it. Uh, Having a little bit of technical difficulty trying to upload that picture, but
Okay, well that's all right.
yeah. So
Another advantage of the diesel, yeah, and they're small. That could be a disadvantage if you lose stuff.
yeah,
Hook it somewhere, hook it onto something.
you see on the
Uh,
back of mine,
Velcro, stick it
I
onto
put
the.
Velcro. I
Yeah,
put
I
Velcro
love
right
that.
there.
Great
I
idea.
put it right in there.
I actually have some little clips in my tent, and that my remote came with a little clip, and I can clip it on there and hang it up, so I don't lose it in the bed with me or anything like that. But Velcro is a great idea because I can actually Velcro stuff to my ceiling, and the only problem I have is I can't see, and so I have to put my glasses on and make sure I'm hitting the right button. Because if I turn it off, bad deal, bad
Oh,
deal.
I just go like this until I find what I'm looking for.
Another advantage that I love is it actually has a blower on it. So it actually blows the air and doesn't heat the air where it just sits in one place and has to travel itself. So you don't have to have another fan to circulate the air.
Yeah.
I love that. I love the air coming in, and you can put it where you want. You can put it high, you can put it low, you can put it at your feet, you can put it at the side. If you have a lot of windows, you pick out where you want it to come in. Blow on you, blow around you, whatever you want. But I love that the air blows around you. Um, I love that it uses dry heat
Yeah.
and does not put moisture in the air that will produce mold like the other heaters. So I love that. That's one of the worst things about a rooftop tent is condensation. And so it helps actually dry the tent out while you're sleeping, because a lot of times we wake up and everything's soaked. So that's great. Also, it does not put any CO2 in your air. If you use a buddy heater will actually put CO2 in the air. It has a CO2 sensor, and if it does use all the oxygen up, it will stop. It will not run. That's happened to me before. Like I said, when we were in Colorado, it used all the oxygen up. We had to sleep with the windows open, and so it will not do that because the actual machine is outside and not in your tent with you. So that's cool. They do not have to be vented because they're outside. If you sleep with a buddy heater or I have a little Covea heater that I take with me everywhere I go as a backup. It's a butane heater, but the tent has to be vented. Safety, there's no open flame inside your tent, so you can actually sleep. I know a lot of times you heat up your tent with your little burner from your
My JetBoil burner.
JetBoil.
I
Yeah.
have. I've used
But you
that.
don't leave it on while you're asleep. You just
No, no,
turn it on
no,
for a
no.
minute, heats 10 up, and you go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure. There's all kind of safety flags there with that, trying to use it full time. But
I've
I
done
don't
that
do it.
before. I've done it.
I don't, I don't use it for that. I just, I usually don't take my diesel heater with me, and until it gets like below freezing.
Yeah.
Um, and then my tent works so well at keeping me warm. It's got a small volume of air to heat
Mm.
that the JetBoil does just fine in good sleeping
Yeah.
bag. But
I love not having a flame inside my tent.
mm-hmm.
So many years we slept with a buddy heater going. It's so hard to control the temperature because even on the lowest setting, and as small as the rooftop tents are, even on the lowest setting, you'll burn smooth up in there, and you'll have to turn it off. And then an hour later, you're freezing to death, and you have to wake up. You have to turn it back on, and then an hour later, you're burning up. And so it was just a constant hot, cold, hot, cold, hot, cold.
Yeah.
But without there being a burner inside my tent, and I'm not afraid to knock it over and burn a hole in, my expensive puffy blanket, or just set the whole tent on fire, burn myself or whatever, I sleep better. So that works for me.
Right.
Fuel. Diesel is so much more readily available than propane is. And you can also run kerosene in them, which I think you run kerosene in yours, right? And what's the
I do.
advantages for that?
Well, so kerosene, I mean, in my opinion, it burns cleaner. I like the flexibility of not having to carry, a diesel Rotopax,
Yeah.
because you just buy a gallon of the kerosene at a time at Walmart when you go to buy your groceries. Swing through the sporting goods and grab a
Mm-hmm.
gallon of kerosene, and it works so well. I mean, mine burns so clean. I've never really tested the diesel, but I think I told you I did some testing out in the garage
Mm-hmm.
here a while back, and it was burning clean. I didn't have to exhaust, or ventilate the garage at all. I tested the air quality coming out of it,
Mm-hmm.
and it didn't change hardly any of the ppms for
Yeah.
the CO2 in the garage. It
Yeah.
was amazing. And I
One
heard
thing I
somebody
wonder
referred
about.
to. Well, I
Uh,
was going to say, I heard somebody referred to the diesel heater as instead of a combustion engine, they referred to it as a um, incinerator,
right.
which makes sense because it burns so clean under the
Mm-hmm.
right circumstances. So now, if it's not fully efficient and tuned in just right, I'm sure it would, not burn as well, but anyway, so.
Well, one of the things you have to worry about, we're using these things in zero minus temperatures or down below freezing or something like that. Well, diesel has a tendency to gel. And so you
Yeah,
have to put additive in there or something like that where it won't
that's
gel. Now,
that's everything I
I
forgot.
don't think the kerosene does that. So you don't have to worry about that, and it'll run cleaner in colder temperatures.
Yeah, yeah. I think I read where it'll gel below -50 or something.
I'm not
So
camping in that.
no, no.
No, because you eventually have to come outside.
Eventually, yeah.
Yeah, you can't just stay in there the whole time.
No,
That's not what
I
fun is.
don't take one of them pee jugs up there with me, so I have to
Mm-mm.
come out to go to the bathroom.
No, not me. Propane heaters are unreliable at high altitudes where oxygen is thin. Diesel heaters work just fine.
Mhm.
Propane heaters have oxygen sensors, and if they fail, they will not work. That has happened to me. I love how efficient the diesel heaters are. They will run for over 8 hours on less than 1 gallon of fuel. And so I have ran mine for 14 hours on
Mhm.
a tank, which is about a gallon and a half, and there was still fuel in there. And so they're very efficient. They don't use a whole lot of electricity on your on whatever you're powering it with. So very efficient.
Yeah,
Love that part about
yeah. So the last trip I went on was a couple of weeks ago with Benji and Michael from uh, Budget Overland and
them.
PKV.
Mm-hmm.
PKV, Brute Knives Valley.
Mm-hmm.
We, so it was. I think the low was like upper 30s. It wasn't awful, but I used my heater off and on both nights, and my battery, my EcoFlow battery, my battery was still like, I don't know, 70%. And I burned less than a half a gallon of fuel.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
And that's because I cycled it. I cycled it. You know, when I'd get hot, I'd turn it off, and
Right,
when I get cold, I'd wake up and I turn it on. But I cycled it using my remote.
right. So easy,
Yeah.
so easy. Um, Another thing I like about the diesel heaters is you can do different things with them. You don't have to just use them in your tent. One of the things that made me fall in love with them was when we were doing the Enchanted Rockies Trail, and we had been out there for 3 or 4 days. Really needed a shower, but it was so cold. We got out the shower stuff, opened up the shower tents, turned on the diesel heater, ran it underneath the shower, kept the shower just so warm. It was an amazing, amazing experience. You can't do that with a buddy heater with an open
N-
flame. You can't do that.
no, that's
No,
something that I want to do someday is try that someday
it
soon.
works so well because heat rises, and if
Yeah.
you just put that pipe under there or the heater hose under there, it's it's so nice. Oh my
Right.
gosh, it is heaven. Now, like I said, you eventually do have to come out. So you take everything in there with you, your clothes, towel, all that stuff. So you're in there where it's warm. But hey, it allows you to be comfortable in more than one space. So I do like that.
Yeah.
Um, there's a lot of advantages. I probably didn't think of all of them, but there are some disadvantages too. I think that I want to go over. I think they're minor, but some things that we need to discuss. One of the things is they do require a electrical connection where
Yeah.
a buddy heater does not. So you have to have another piece to the puzzle. And if they are not charged, if whatever you're powering it with is not charged to a certain percentage, it will not work. So if it's
Mm.
starting up and it detects, these things are so sensitive. They're so sensitive electrically. It blows my mind how people come up with this stuff. But when it starts the whole process, it can sense the amount of power that's coming in. If it realizes that it's not receiving enough power to come in, it will not work. It will shut itself right back down. And that
Yeah.
has happened to me several times.
That happened to Michael. With in the last trip, he brought out a brand new heater, and we couldn't figure out what was going on with it. It
Mm,
was when it was doing the preheat for the glow plug.
yeah.
It just wasn't getting warm enough.
Yeah. Jarrett with Steadfast Overland, one of our good friends from Missouri. Have you ever made s'mores with a buddy heater in your tent?
No.
No. First of all, they're messy. Sticky marshmallows in my sleeping bag or on top of my sleeping bag. So no, I haven't done that. I haven't done that.
No.
That'd be a no
Sounds
no.
like an interesting story, though, Jarrett. You got
Yeah, I'd
something to
love to
share
hear
with the
that
class?
sometime,
Yeah.
Jarrett. Uh, Another thing, they have been known. It doesn't seem as much lately. It seems like they're getting better. They've been out. It's kind of like you never buy a vehicle the first year it's out because they haven't
Mm.
worked the bugs out of it yet. When they started producing these 3 or 4 years ago, it seemed like there was so many people that said, "I got mine out of the box. It worked once. It worked fine, and now it doesn't work. It won't come on. It won't turn off. It won't do this. It won't do that." It seems like a lot of those problems have been alleviated. And the good thing about it is if they do have electrical issues. It's good. It's going to happen. But the good thing about it is if you do buy one on Amazon, you can return anything to Amazon.
Hmm.
Send it back, get another one. They'll send you another one. Psh, Amazon's great. So, it's just one of those things where you just have to figure it out. But it doesn't really seem like that happens as much as it used to
Yeah.
anymore. Now I know you've had an electrical issue. We talked about it earlier. When you got yours swapped over, your remote would not pair. So how did you fix that? How did you remedy that?
Yeah. So, they have a when you sort of figure out what the pairing procedure is because the owner's manual is very lame at telling you how to do it. I had to find the pairing
Yeah,
procedure on YouTube.
yeah,
I went through all of that. I thought it was because the battery was bad, and they've got this weird little miniature AAA looking battery in them. And so I ordered a new one of those because, that's not something you just go in Walmart and buy. And I ordered one and it still wouldn't pair. Well, I found, usually those, if you want to buy a new remote, it comes packaged with a new controller. And I found somebody on eBay that was selling the controller and it had a new remote with it. So I just ordered that. It was like $19, when it came in. I had to swap the battery because it didn't come with the battery for the remote. So I swapped that and, messed around with it. And I finally got it paired. And so far, so good. It's working great.
Now, was that a plug and play thing where you could take the one out and just undo a clip and plug it in and stick it on there and it worked?
Yeah, it is actually a plug and play situation. So here's the old one. Got the Velcro on the back, but it's just a little screw-on connection.
Yeah. Okay.
And so now I've got a spare. The controller still works. So
but it just doesn't have a remote.
Right.
Okay.
Right. But what I'm thinking about doing is splicing this and lengthening it and just mounting this permanent inside my tent with some Velcro. And just leaving the pigtail to where I can just...
I wonder if you can get an extension cable for that.
Possibly.
Yeah. They make just about everything these days,
I mean, it's just a three conductor wire, It's just... So
never know.
Something to tinker with.
Another disadvantage that's really not a disadvantage because you have to deal with this with propane too is when it gets down to a certain temperature, diesel may gel. Well, I've had propane bottles freeze on me too, where they just you can't even shake them anymore. They're full, but you can't get anything out of them. And so I've had to deal with that as well. So it seems like the remedy for that is if it's going to be down around 0 degrees somewhere in there, use kerosene instead of diesel, and that will take care of that. Or they make additive.
Or you get one made into a front runner box where
that's right. Diesel... Tell us how that works.
Okay, what's really cool about this, and I've uploaded the picture now. I think I got it to work, right?
Okay.
So if you take a look, you see the tank there inside.
Tank is inside the box.
Inside the box, right? So when you fire this thing up, you put the lid on, you make your connections and everything, and it's working away. Well, it is also building heat inside the box. So you don't need to run kerosene or even diesel with additive when it's inside this box and the lid on it, because it gets up to, I think, what did I tell you? I shut it off at 100 degrees inside the box. Yeah, I think it was like 100 or 105 degrees inside the box. I had a set of these little Bluetooth temperature sensors, and I put one inside the box and put the lid on it, and I had it running on a high, and it got up to like 100 and some odd degrees in there. So what that means is, I'm sure that's based on the ambient temperature. It was in the garage when I was running it, and it was, like 50, 60 degrees in the garage. So that's a 50, 60 degree swing from whatever the outside ambient temperature is. So if it's 0 degrees inside the box, theoretically is still going to be 40 or 50 degrees, which is, so there's another.
If you have one that has the tank mounted inside the box, you're probably producing enough heat inside its container in order to keep the fuel from gelling. If you have one like mine, which is like a suitcase style where the tank is on the exterior, you don't get that. So yeah, that is definitely an advantage of having one that's on the exterior.
The other thing, I'm not sure if it's the tank so much as gelling as the fuel line, and the fuel line on,
they're really small. Yeah.
It's really small, and it's a little bit more exposed, I think, on some of the metal units to the outside air. So I don't know, my theory.
Hello, Galen is joining us from South Dakota. Man, you're way up there, and I bet it's cold up there. My goodness.
Ew.
Oh, my goodness. So
Galen, what are you doing
appreciate
up
you
there?
joining. Yeah.
Let us know.
Yeah. Let us know. Let it snow.
No, let us know.
That's what he
What are you
said. He
doing,
said,
buddy?
let it snow.
No, this is not frozen. You got to let it go, Joey.
Another thing that you disadvantage is if you have one that's not waterproof, you have to figure out what to do because it's going to rain. It may rain, it may freezing rain, it may do something. So you have to kind of keep it out of the weather. If you have one like Tony that's in a pack, you don't have to worry about it. It can do whatever, and it's just fine. Mine is completely enclosed. Even the is your controller on the inside of the box or is it on the outside?
Yes. No, it's
See,
on the
my
inside.
controller's on the inside as well. The remote works even with the controller on the inside of the box, which I think that's cool.
Yes.
So that works. So Galen said he's up there for work. So thank you for
Ah,
joining us on your work trip, Galen.
yeah.
Um, Another thing is they're very complex. The instructions are, I mean, they will make you punch your mom in the face. I mean, they're just awful. They're awful having to deal with. So if
Yeah.
you're not familiar with one, if you are not a electrical engineer, I would get one that's ready to go. So some are funky shaped, and this is one of the things that I've had to deal with. The things that I've had, some of them some of them are not shaped very well in order to pack them if you have a small vehicle with limited space. It is, uh, I swear, they're just made weird. Like, okay, I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna show you this one. A lot of things you may not think about. A lot of things you might not think about. Okay, so I love this one. I love this one. But those little rails that are on the top, you can't pack any plastic case on there without it flying off there and killing your dog if you go around the corner too fast. You
Yeah.
know, it's just when they think about it, okay, yeah, we made some handles for you to be able to move it. Okay, that's cool. I like that. I like to be able to see the amount of fuel from the outside. I like that. But in order to transport this, I have to put it somewhere inside, and it just doesn't stack well.
Mm-mm.
This one right here, it's tall, skinny. What do you do with that? It's really hard to figure out where to put that. It's a little piece of the puzzle that just makes it where it's just not very congruent to being able to stack. This one has a top handle on the top of it. It's just like when I had my Jackery. They were made so weird that you couldn't put them anywhere. They had that weird round handle on the top. It had to sit on top of things.
Mine
You can't
started out.
stack anything on bottom of it. Do what?
Yeah, mine started out looking like that one.
That's
I
what
mean,
my
the
first one
Beaver.
started out looking
Yeah,
like.
the
Yeah.
Beaver version of that one.
And this is what mine looks like, and it is awful to be able to transport. It's just not very conducive to, oh yeah, you can stack this here and put this there and stack this here. Because if you have a smaller vehicle with limited space like I do, you've got to you've got to maximize every single piece of space that you have. And
Hmm.
it just doesn't make it easy on you. So that's one of the
Yeah.
big drawbacks for me when I'm looking for something like that. When I'm looking for anything that I'm going to be able to put in my vehicle and carry with me, it's got to be small, it's got to be packable, it's got to be square-ish in order to either go in something or be able to be stacked on something. And some of those are just not. And so you gotta think about that. If you have an external tank that does not seal well, you have to find a place to haul the fuel. And so you have discovered uh, this cap that people need to know about. That
Yeah.
if you have something like this, it allows it to breathe, but it doesn't allow it to leak.
Yeah,
And so
Tate
show
was
people
telling
how
me
to do
about these. This is a little modification that I did. You know, it's basically like a little tire valve,
it.
your Schrader valve on your tire. You just unscrew the cap, and then it'll breathe that way when you're using it. When you pack it up, you just screw that back on. But the problem with these when they come right out of the box is they've got a breather hole right there,
Mm,
and so that allows air to go in during consumption when you're using it,
mm-hmm,
keeps that vacuum lock from happening. And the side effect of that is it leaks when you're going down the road
mm-hmm.
and gets fuel everywhere. But if you put this little doohickey on right here.
Mm.
Drill a hole, you screw that on there. It fixes all that.
Nice. I love it. Absolutely love it. Another thing is you need to figure out your setup before you go. Before you do anything, you have to figure out your setup. Where are you going to input your hose? How are you going to power it? And then the man issue that you have to deal with is your hose long enough? Okay,
Yeah.
something that a lot of us have dealt with our whole lives. But
Yep.
I have had this issue before where I've got out there and I set my heater on the ground. I went to run my hose and it would not go up to my tent. And so I had to go out rummaging through the woods and find rocks and blocks and make this pack of stuff and stack it on top of there in order for my hose to be able to reach. So test that, see how long of a hose that you need, and make sure that you do that. Test it out before you go. So you have to figure out your setup. You put yours in the back of your vehicle, and then you don't have to have such a very long hose.
Man, I don't have to do anything with it. It goes right on the left side, right on top of my deck door system. I've got the roof rack or the bed rack up there, and I've got a shovel mounted to the bottom side of it. So I have the space below the shovel on top of the deck system that this front runner pack fits perfect. It just slides right there. I can put a strap over it. It stays there. When I get to camp, I unstrap it, pull it down, take the lid off, get the stuff out, and then it sets right back where it rides.
Mm-hmm.
And I plug it in, and it's all good.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So cool. I have to set mine on the ground. I usually set it right behind the back tire, up underneath where my spare tire and trash bag are, so it keeps the rain and stuff off of it. And then I just run my hose up through the back. But you just have to figure it out. Everybody's different. Everybody's setup is different. Everybody's tent is different. So you have to figure out where your power is going to come from, how long your hose has got to be, where you're going to run your hose, which end you're going to run your hose in, because are you going to run it in your at your head or at your feet or wherever. So you have to figure out your setup. So you kind of have to deal with that. It's not just like sitting a heater down at your feet. You have to figure all that out. So it's a little bit more complicated, but it works really well.
And I'm getting ready to change up my wiring on mine. So the way it connects is with the regular 12-volt outlet and then a SAE plug on the other end.
Right.
Well, I'm getting ready to add an SAE outlet by where my pump switch is.
For your water?
For the water. I'm going to add an outlet there, and then I'm going to make a different cord that's got these on both ends. And that's shorter than this. And I'm going to run it off of my truck battery.
Nice.
Because the other thing is, when it gets really cold, what are those portable batteries? Where are you going to keep that portable battery warm?
Right.
Warm. Is that cold a consideration for those, or weather?
So it is for the lithium. It is for the lithium. The lithium do not like cold. They do not like hot. So they do run down pretty quickly. So that's a good idea. Figuring out your setup. Michael Pruitt Niles of Valor. We talked about you a while ago, Michael, and it was not good. Not good. I'm sorry. So make sure you listen earlier to the show, because Tony said it. Tony said how bad you were. But anyway, yes, Tony said he got you taken care of. Anyway, check out Pruitt Niles of Valor on Instagram and everywhere else. He's even on TikTok, I think.
Yeah.
One major advantage that I have discovered on a lot of these, I noticed that they changed it up on yours, and I love that, is that on most of the exhaust and the input comes through the bottom. And so I got mine thinking that I could just set it on a table, or I could just set it on a tailgate or something like that. You can't do that. Because a lot of this stuff comes out the bottom, and you have to figure out something to put it on in order for that to work. And that's just it's a pain in the butt. Now, the new one that I have in the suitcase model is if you buy one that is like this, like the two hoses that you have, the input where it sucks the air in and the exhaust, go through the bottom. And so that's why they have the feet that are on the bottom of these. And so it's a pain to put those on there and then try to set it up and the hoses stay on there like they're supposed to. It's a pain.
Yeah.
So think about that. That's something that you need to know that I did not know when I first purchased mine. And I did not like that. I hated having to deal with that. So that is one major disadvantage of that particular style.
I have a tip on how to make that work.
Okay.
So if you pull that picture back up of
And I will.
the one that has the on your setup there, the last one, the exploded view.
The one like what I have. Let's see.
Well, the very last picture in that group.
This one.
Yeah, yeah. So, well, I
See,
don't see.
it shows the exhaust outlet and the combustion air inlet being on the bottom.
Yeah, so see where it says the ceramic glow element?
Ceramic glow.
It's right in the center.
Yes, I do.
Basically,
I see
that's
that.
the freeze plug. Well,
Mhm.
so the tip is you can rotate these burner units 90 degrees one way or the other if you want to, if you buy the kit, not
Mhm.
the fully assembled units, you can rotate these to where those outputs, that are on the bottom, you can rotate them to the side. But the key is you have to make sure the glow plug is, make sure I'm not, so you got to make sure the glow plug is up.
Okay.
There's a cap that comes off that unit, and there's little rubber plugs, and you can switch the little pigtail for the glow plug from one side to the other.
Oh, that's a good tip.
So that's
Good
the
tip.
tip. Is
I like
it's
that.
got to be up.
A couple more that you have to really be careful of is you have to make sure if your remote does not work, it's complicated. And having to deal with the face or the actual main brain of that thing is super complicated. It's a pain. And a lot of times the buttons are not labeled and you
Hmm.
can't figure out what does what. So if your remote does not work, it's very complicated. So that is a disadvantage to me. And if you run
Well,
out of fuel, they're really hard to get started again. Um,
oh yeah, that
so
was the
I know
biggest
you,
problem we had in West Virginia.
West Virginia, you ran yours out of fuel, and that was getting it
Ran
going
it out
again
of
was
fuel.
tough. That was tough.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so
at the time, I didn't know there was a procedure for priming the fuel line,
right.
but my procedure was to just try to start it 27 times in a row, and it finally primed on its own, which it worked.
Right, right. That's right. That's so funny. Well, here's my recommendations. If you want a diesel heater, if you are in the market for one, here's my recommendations. Pick one that fits your style, your shape, and your price. Okay, let's do this one more time. Here we go. I'm gonna bring this back up. This is the planar heater. This is one that's made by Planar, I believe. You can get these at Overland Addict. I think they're on sale right now for $1,369. I don't understand why they are so much. I don't know if they have a German heater in them or a Chinese heater. I don't know, but I do know that these are the bougie of the heaters. Okay, $1,369, and that is on sale. They're normally about $1,800. The LF
Mm.
Bros, these have just came out. They haven't been out very long, maybe 6 months or so. 249 is what these are. They look cool. If that's the style you want, go for it. This is the tall LF Bros. These are 229. One of the things you need to notice on these is that instead of it having a a wire that comes out or a plug that you can plug in, it actually has the bare wires that you actually hook to the bottom. If you see the two, the red and the black, so you actually have to hook bare wires on the outside of that. So if that is actually in the weather, that could be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
This one is from H Calorie. I really like this one. You can control it from your phone. You can also control it from the remote. It is completely square, has wheels if you want to haul it around. Because I have used mine in my garage before. I don't just use it, but it's only 16 inches long, 12 inches wide, 12 inches tall. So it's not as big as what you think the picture is. These are 189, 185 on Amazon right now. So pretty decent price on those. This is the H Calorie that a lot of people are going to right now. This has the external um, uh, fuel tank on it. They're really compact, really small. There is some installation stuff or you have to set up. There is some setup with these.
You have
Um,
to mount the fuel tank on it.
have to mount the fuel tank, and you also have to you have to take out the exhaust and the intake on it, put them on each time. And I think there is a thing that holds those in place. These actually around $220, but there's a coupon and they're on sale right now, making them $119 on Amazon. That's the cheapest we could find. These are $99. These are pretty much standard. If you want to get one that's pretty cheap, but you can even go cheaper than that with the tall, slender Vivor, and these right now are $89. So they're about $5 more than a propane buddy heater. So
Now are
uh,
these two kilowatt, 5, 8? What size are these?
this one was a 2 kilowatt, which I wouldn't get one much more than that. The fives are just overbearing to me. They put out so much heat. Um, Gosh, I mean, you could heat a whole house with the 5 kilowatt.
Mine's an
Some people have
8.
an 8. Is yours an 8?
Mine's an 8.
Oh my
Well, I
god.
didn't. It's because whenever I made up my mind to buy one, the 8 kW is the only thing that was in stock. Everybody had bought up the
Yeah,
fives and the
yeah. There for a
twos.
while, there weren't any out there.
So I was like, well, okay, so it's a little overkill for what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And that may be why I have to turn it off and on so many times every night because it gets hotter than the devil's armpit in my tent.
Oh yeah, no kidding. Because you are running a lot of heat,
Yeah,
in there.
yeah.
There are so many out there, uh, and most of them are exactly the same. Just depends on what shape you want, what style you want, and how much you want to spend. So the kits that are out there, Okie Overland, I think they are $300-400, something like that. If you want them to take what you've got and put it into a case like Tony, those, if that's what you want, then they can do that for you. They also have some of the other ones, so you can check those.
Yeah, I mean, if you already use on a regular basis the front runner packs in your setup and you stack them in the garage, I highly recommend this setup from
Mm.
Okie Overland because you just stack it with the other ones in your garage. It stacks good. There's no extra case.
And
I would,
I'm impressed with how clean that is on the inside.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, that looks like the inside of your Jeep right there. It's so clean and organized and just so pretty. I
yeah,
swear, it's just so nice. I love it.
yeah.
Figure out your setup. This is my recommendations again. Figure out your setup, where you will set it up, run your hose, how you will power it. You need to know all that before you go. Don't figure that out when you're in the middle of nowhere and sun's fixing to go down and it's fixing to be 0 degrees. You don't want to figure all that out.
You don't
So
want to be
figure all that out.
tinkering with it when your fingers are frozen.
No. Get an insulated hose. A lot of people just use RV poop hoses. They're not insulated. Get an insulated hose. They work so much better because if you have to run it for very long, for 8, 9, 10 feet from the ground up to your tent, it's going to cool off a lot before it gets to you. So get an insulated hose.
I've been following some of the forums, and somebody was saying that some of those the plastic ones will put off an odor when they get hot to a certain
Mm.
temperature. They'll put
Mhm.
off I don't know like a toxic smell. And maybe not toxic, but it just smells,
Yeah.
like burnt plastic or something.
Smells like it should be a crapper hose. Yeah, because that's what it is.
I don't know.
And I would also recommend, if you don't know how you're going to put it inside your tent, the guys at Okie Overland have this little contraption that Tony's going to show you. where you can zip it up in your zipper, and it will actually hold it in place. So that actually goes around your zipper, and you just zip it from either side, and it has a vent where you can direct it up or down,
Yeah.
and it will hold it in place and works very well.
This little groove all the way around is you bring the zipper up to it right here, bring the other zipper up to it, and then the unzipped part of the zipper rides in the groove right there. So, and on
Seals
the
it off good.
outside, yeah, on the outside your hose connects on this side, and then on the inside you still have full ability to rotate that piece
Mm-hmm.
inside the tent and point it whichever way you want.
Really nice.
Yeah.
Really nice. The only thing that you have to do is make sure that's zipped tight, because if your zipper slips a little bit and that falls to the ground, you're gonna not be very happy.
You're gonna have to put clothes on and go outside.
Yeah, you're not gonna be very happy. So make sure you get an insulated hose. Make sure your hose is long enough. Make sure your hose is long enough from where
That's
you're going to set it to where you're going to
constant
run it.
struggle.
Constant
Yeah.
struggle. Make sure you get one with a remote. That is so vital. You can control it with your phone or with a remote, whatever, but make sure you get one with your remote. Just like
you need one of those too.
Need one of those so you can tighten the hose clamps.
Don't get a Phillips or none of that. Get a nut driver.
Nut driver.
Quarter inch nut driver.
Yeah.
Slap some Velcro on it so that you can put it inside your front runner case and know where it's at all times.
Order some industrial strength Velcro from Amazon. That way you can cut whatever you want. It is man's best friend, that and the padded double-sided tape.
Yeah.
You'll use it, I promise.
Yeah.
Test it before you go to make sure it works. Michael Pruitt. Test it before you go to make sure it works.
Yeah.
And that way you don't have to freeze to death. So anyway, some have issues right out of the box. There's not many, but some do. So they're very complicated machines. If you saw, yeah, sorry, buddy. If you saw the beginning of the show, we talked about this. There used to be a lot of them that had a lot of issues. They've fixed a lot of that, but a lot of times. But if you saw the picture of the inside, here we go. This is the picture of the inside. That is a complicated piece of machinery that's packed into that one little deal. The minds that create these, they're way so far beyond me. I can't understand it. But anyway, test it before you go. Make sure it works. Make sure you have enough fuel. You don't want to run out of fuel. Make sure you have a battery that's completely charged, because it will not work if it's not charged. Have fun. Stay warm. It will be one of the best things you've ever done. I promise. If you don't test it before, be sure to bring plenty of extra layers. That's true. Richard says, don't be picking on the guy who beats up things with a hammer and changes shapes. Yeah.
That's a good point.
True.
That's a good point.
So if the next time we're camping and y'all see me with a knife stuck in the side of my head, you'll know that Michael Pruitt did it. Tony the MacGyver crest, the Velcro King. That is so true.
Hey,
that's so true.
I mean, I bought a roll of it. I bought like a 25-foot roll of it. It'll last me the rest of my life.
Yeah,
so
we're getting some testimonials coming in now. People that have had issues with batteries, hoses, things like that. So it's not just me that has had issues with them. There's other people out there. So test it before you go. I promise you will love it. And they are so affordable right now that that you really don't have an excuse not to get one, because they are readily available. There's so many different ones out there, and they're cool. So
yeah.
If you have any more questions, shoot us an email, professorbatsandfriends@gmail.com, or you can check out our website at professorbatsfriends.com. Really appreciate everybody joining us. This was fun. I love talking about gear like this, because
I do too.
Gear is near to my heart.
It is. It's near to my heart too, and this has been a wildly popular topic the last few weeks.
It has. It really has. Well, that's because it's cold.
It's cold.
It's cold. And we haven't even got to the coldest month of the year yet. So
we haven't.
No, February is the worst. It's always the worst. I promise.
Well, it's like February 6th.
I know we're in the worst month right now.
Oh. Well.
Everybody out there, thank you for joining us. Hope you have a wonderful week. On behalf of myself and the Tony, hope you have a great week. We'll be back same bat time, same bat channel next week. Till then, what's up for number one? Don't step for number two.